Good morning. Welcome to Political Circle on Signature Television. In the US, where we borrowed our presidential system from, policing is structured around three main levels: federal, state, and local, with specific agencies like city police, sheriff's departments, and specialized police forces, such as campus and transit police, operating within these levels. However, in Nigeria, the reverse is the case, with just a central police structure called the Nigerian Police Force. The issue of establishing state police has since remained very controversial, with many for and against. Recently, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu insisted that the state police is the way to go. This is as northern leaders called for state police, raising the hopes in several corners. Chances of state police in Nigeria. That's our topic for today on Political Circle. My name is Luke Mbo, and I'm joined by a colleague and friend, Dr. Mark Singene, Senior Lecturer, Department of Mass Communication, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, former Senior Legislative Aide, National Assembly, former Executive Assistant to Governor Nomani on Research and Publicity, former National Treasurer, Radio, Television, Theatre Workers Union, RATAO, former Senior Special Assistant on Media to former Governor Ugwuanyi. The list is endless. Dr. Ngene, my pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well, we're talking state police, the chances of state police in Nigeria. First of all, let's understand the concept of state police.
Thank you very much. When we talk about state police or state policing, we are merely referring to a system where each state, out of the 36 states in Nigeria, will have its own police. A police that will be funded by the state governor, a police that will cater for the well-being, crime prevention, and do all the jobs that are known to be done by police in that state. For a very long time now, Nigeria has been battling with a debate on whether or not state policing is ideal. But when we talk about state policing, we are saying so because Nigeria is a multi-ethnic nation, multi-religious nation, where, as a country, we've been battling with a multitude of problems. Problems that have to do with terrorism, problems that have to do with armed robbery, kidnapping, banditry, ransom taking. The list is endless, So yes. People are of the opinion, same people are saying, if indeed we are practicing democracy, which we borrowed from America, the first world, then we should be able to emulate some of the good things they've done, like state policing. Because as if we've done federal policing over the years, and it doesn't seem to be working. It works for politicians. At times, some state governors have not found it easy when they want to contain crimes in their area, particularly when they belong to opposition parties.
Thank you very much. But those against state police believe there are a lot of factors that is hindering state policing. Let's talk about issues like
that's correct.
Finance, the burden on the state. Can the states handle it?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The truth is that security is a very critical issue in every society. And as a country with over 250 million people, talking about the population of Nigeria, with a little or something above 400,000 police officers in Nigeria, it's inadequate. It doesn't even measure to the global standards, So, yes, there are a lot of problems associated with having a state police, but I believe that these problems are not insurmountable. They can be handled. The point is that if people who are afraid of state police are looking at situations where governors in particular and the elites, the haves, those who are the lumpen bourgeoisies, where they can now utilize the services of state police officers to undo their enemies. But when we talk about policing, if indeed the aim is about ensuring that the state, the country is safe, then there's no question regarding whether or not we should have state policing. It means that state policing is the ideal thing. However, to do that, there must be a lot of things to be done in terms of designing the proper framework, in terms of reform, in terms of ensuring that proper funding is done to make it efficient, effective, and result-oriented. But as we go into the program, we begin to look at the nitty-gritty of such things. But whether or not the concerns are palpable, yes, they are, because we know that Nigeria is a very corrupt nation, where those who have legs stampede and march on those who have nothing, to show for it, particularly the vulnerable and the poor. So that has been the fear. But the issue should not just be about policing for the interest of the haves, the rich novel. It should be policing for Nigeria, policing for the well-being of every citizen of Nigeria, policing to ensure that with stable environment, Nigeria will begin to march to its Eldorado.
Thank you very much. But there are a lot of factors I want us to diagnose here. Issues, Nigeria is a complex nation.
Very complex.
Ethnicity and all that. Don't you think state policing will bring about all of that? If I'm not from your place and somehow I'm living in this place, and then you see the state police marginalizing such people, don't you think that issues like that will come up?
Yeah, it could come up because that the problem with our country is that we have strong individuals and not strong institutions. So we are hoping that if state policing will be effective, that there should be a proper framework for it, the proper legislation, proper constitutional provision, so that, because the problem had always been the thinking that when a situation arises for federal police to perform an assignment with state police, there could be a conflict of interest, things like that. There could be, but with proper arrangement, some people say that the devil can see God. So it depends on our ability to develop the right framework, which calls for sincerity of purpose, which calls for political will, which calls for awareness creation, massive awareness creation about state policing, looking at all the pros and cons, because when we look at all the pros and cons, it will by far outweigh the negatives that people are afraid of, because it's no longer whether it's feasible, it is the way to go.
But these negatives are something we can't just wave away.
Yeah, we can't wave away.
Because, for instance, there are people who have fears that governors will misuse this state police if it comes to pass. What do you say about it?
That could be true, but I am saying that it's only a governor without focus that can begin to think along those lines. If there's proper sensitization, if there's proper mobilization, if there's proper awareness creation on the part of the citizenry to understand their sense of, why people talk about state policing? When you have police officers who come from a particular locality, working in the same locality, there is the possibility that people like you will be able to recognize not just the name of the police officer, but even his father or mother, or even the community where the police officer is coming from. And that police officer will now know that he's working for his people. He's working within his people. A situation where you bring a police officer from Sokoto, for instance, and ask the police officer to come to Enugu or Benue, it will not work for the Tiv people. It may not work for the Doma people. It may not work for the Igbo man, because they don't understand our dialects. They don't understand our language. They don't even understand the terrain. That is the problem. And that is why at times you see when you travel to Abuja On your way, you cannot encounter the number of bus stops and checkpoints we see within the Southeast geopolitical zone. Some of those things are the things that fuel separatist agitation. Those are some of the things that fuel the concern of the Igbo people, saying why are we treated in a different manner? That this government is not venial, it's not congenial. That they treat us as if we are leprous. They treat us as if we are second-class citizens, and so on and so forth. And the thinking is that state policing is ideal. It is inevitable, given the myriads of problems facing us as a country, because it will be difficult if a police officer who is an Igbo man, for instance, from Udi, encounters you. There's certainly no reason why he will not know that there's one Dr. Lukumbo who has paid his dues, who is an elite, who is an intellectual, who should be listened to, and that if he doesn't do that, that he could take up the issue, and that may not augur well. But when you bring people who is Adamu, Abubakar, this and that, it is difficult for people to sync with them. It is difficult for the relationship to really count, to flow. It doesn't resonate. And that has been a major problem, because once you do not have an understand with somebody, once there's mutual suspicion, there could be antagonism, there could be mutual distrust, and this endangers security.
Thank you very much. Now, recently, our dear President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has said that state police is the way to go, based on the recent call from northern leaders that they want state police. So how do you react to this?
Thank you very much. I was pleasantly surprised when I heard President Bola Ahmed Tinubu set an agenda for our country, talking that we should try state policing. We should. I don't want to believe it is a way of trying to reduce his wage burden. I want to believe it is out of proper concern, having been a two-term president of Lagos and having been governor and now president of Nigeria. He had seen it all, and he now knows that if we have to come out of this interminable problem of state of insecurity, that there's this need for us to do things differently, talking about state policing. So it's very important. I know that well-meaning governors will jump at it, they will embrace it, because they know that most times when they give instructions to police commissioners in their states, most times they don't get the kind of response the chief executive should get, and that undermines their thinking, their vision for their state. So state policing is good. When states governors now begin to have state police that they fund, then those people will be answerable to them, and then I can bet you we begin to witness significant reduction in crime, significant reduction in banditry, kidnapping, some of those things, because we have been told, whether that is true or not, I can't say, that most of these crimes are perpetrated by some of these security agents who are not from our area, for instance. When they talk about herders-farmers clashes, when they talk about kidnapping, you hear people tell you that these are Fulani, these are Hausa, that they've been hearing their voices, that this. And the way they operated, once it is narrated, you will see that they operate in the kind of modus operandi that is known of trained officers. Because hardly will somebody who is a visitor, understands a terrain, to go and rob or destroy properties of citizens that own a particular neighborhood.
So if we now assess the present federal structure of the Nigerian police, what pass mark would you give to them?
They've not performed very well. They've not. They keep telling us reasons of poor motivation. They keep telling us of poor motivation. They keep telling us of poor funding. They keep telling us of lack of training and retraining at all levels. They bring issues. But what obtains in the police obtains in the wider society, because we are all products of this environment. Professors tell you they don't earn what they should earn. Academic doctors like you say they don't earn what they should earn, because they see people who are not really well prepared occupying positions in political space. People we know that used to play Ibakunechei, people who we used to see carrying place, doing one thing or the other during burials, as some of the people who now become local government chairmen, councillors, etc. So a lot of people are angry with their take home. That's why you see even some people who are lucky to have jobs trying to maintain 2, 3 or more jobs without understanding the consequence if they could be unraveled. So it's not just that, but I agree with the fact that Nigerian police are not well catered for. But you can now notice that just like what happens in state media or federal government media, where there is commercialization of news, that some journalists become richer than the stations they work for, because monies that should come to the organization go into private pockets. That's exactly the kind of things we've seen with police officers who collect money in bribes in full public glare on major highways, even local road streets in Enugu, in different parts of Nigeria. So when you begin to ask me to evaluate or to make a judgment, to appraise the performance of the Nigerian police, my thinking about their performance is extremely poor. That doesn't mean that there are no fine police officers. There are a lot of fine police officers, but as an organization, as an institution, the federal police have not performed well. And that is the reason why people are asking, harping on the need for state police.
The chances of state police.
The chances of state police are very high. Very, very high indeed. Because like I was trying to tell you in the past, that a lot of people in Nigeria believe that if you do things, not just in Nigeria, it's a global thinking, that if you continue to do the same thing the same way, you continue to get the same results. We've tried federal police, where at times you see them, even in 1981, 82, 83, during Jimoburo's era, there was one police commissioner, Itene, in Enugu, if you recall. There was that running battle between Itene and Governor Jimoburo. That was when Ebonyi, Anambra, and the President Enugu were under Jimoburo as governor. Jimoburo will give instruction on what to do. Itene will say, no, I'm not answerable to you. It is only Shehu Shagari or the IG of police, as it were at the time, that should instruct me on what to do. You can see it was a terrible situation that led to a lot of serious problem between MPP and MPN. You know, fights, violence, most cases. I remember the war crisis, etc. But now, the chances of the state police are high, because the state governors now know that it is very important that each state is able to raise its own police. That does not mean that governors should abuse it. Proper legislation should be done by the different states of state house of assemblies. Those who legislate, those who make laws, should be able to do that. And there must be proper separation of power so that there's no conflict, because it's very important that things are properly spelled out and that the judiciary does its job. So the chances are very, very high.
But you know the process. Let's talk about the process. The National Assembly. Do you see the present National Assembly being able to pass this bill in good time?
It will be difficult. It will be difficult because
despite the majority issue, and then the states also reaffirming. I think it's about.
It is doable, but it is difficult. It is doable because it is the way to go. It is doable because if the willpower, the political power is there, we should be able to have a state police. But the fear had always been that even those in the National Assembly currently, those in the Senate, those in the House of Representatives, will be afraid, given the enormous powers governors already have, that with state police under their control, that they could become hegemonic, that they could become behemoths, they can become larger than life. And then they could use it to suppress perceived enemies. They could use it to undermine those that do not speak in tandem with the expectation. Those are the problems. But that is why we will continue to talk about the proper reform, the proper constitutional work to be done, so that because we need to grow, we don't need to continue to retrogress because of the fear of.
It's just like in the National Assembly, so you should be able to advise us on the way out, which way to follow. We need state police. It's becoming clear that everybody wants it.
Yeah, like I was saying, we just, if we do not achieve some of these things, we believe it's desirable. It may be because some of the people, it may be because of the process of leadership emergence in our country. Situations where those who should really rear their heads at the march do not count, and where people who benefit from a rotten structure want to continue to perpetuate the wrong thing. Because you can see that even in the wider context, people do say that insecurity in Nigeria is precipitated by politicians, that there are people who benefit from it, who do not want this to end. When you look at the kind of money, the quantum of money that have been budgeted for security, as if Nigeria is in a war with another country, yet we've not gotten the results we yearn for, the results we desire, you will begin to believe that thinking, that school of thought is right. But that may have to do with the ignorance of the people. That's why people like you who are in the media, your jobs have been cut out for you to continue to raise awareness, massive awareness campaigns, massive enlightenment, trying to inculcate in the common man the essence of what we are talking about. Because without security, we can't make the desired progress. Any country that must prosper must be stable, so as to attract foreign direct investment, so as to attract tourists, so as to have an environment that is fit and proper for human habitation, for engagement, for all manner of things that have to do with civic obligations. So, but I believe that we not need to start. Over time, we'll be able to.
Dr. Ngene, let me have your final vision for state police in Nigeria. When are you expecting it? When is it likely to come?
If it comes today, I won't say no, because for me, as an intellectual, a public intellectual at that, I believe state police is desirable. We should not be afraid. State police will not solve all our problems. State police is just part of the preventive tools that can reduce crime significantly. It is doable. Let us try our hands on it and see where it will take Nigeria to. This issue of everyday people sleeping with one eye open and the other closed is not the way our founding fathers envisioned it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ngene. It's been
Thank
my
you for
pleasure having you.
It's like the time has run.
The time is not our friend at all.
Thank you.
So in summary, we're saying state police is the way to go.
That's exactly what we're saying.
Thanks for coming.
God bless you, people.
At this juncture, I'd like to thank you for being part of the show. Join us again same time. My name is Luke Mbo. Nigeria, we hail.